Drag racing, to the casual onlooker, is all about what you have just seen. Wild-looking cars, ground-pounding action, all mixed in with plenty of noise, smoke and speed. However, these sights and sounds are merely the byproducts of the real driving force behind championship drag racing. To the competitor, it's a never-ending quest for horsepower through advanced technology, engineering and above all, the urge to win. That's what keeps them devoted to this seemingly most simple and yet demanding of motorsports. Hi, I'm Jerry Cookson, and along with Hot Tomato team member Steve Clifton, we'll be your guides through this visual tour of British and American drag racing.
Very good news, because he goes through the lights at 211 miles an hour in 6.91 seconds. He's very straight with that car. 6.91, 211 for Clive Stilton.
People, the race on the quarter-mile strip is over in a matter of a few seconds, but that is only part of the story, right Steve?
That's exactly right, Jerry. Right now we're looking at some of the activity in the pit area during between rounds maintenance. This preparation and checking is absolutely vital if everything is going to function on the run just the way that it should.
Dixon will meet Leicester. This is a special elimination where we put a top street car, a super street and a pro stocker together.
Of course, it's not just the nitro burning cars that are the appeal in drag racing. Classes exist for every kind of car and bike, right down to the one parked in your driveway.
0.52 losing ET at 128 in the left-hand lane.
The door slammer class, as they are known, are very popular with the race fans, the top division being super modified, which is where Steve competes with the Hot Tomato 2 Opel.
Thanks for the plug, Jerry. But hey, let's not forget the bikes. Right at the top of that division, there are the mighty 200 mile an hour top fuel machines that can be very hard on parts.
In the left-hand lane, John Leinster, Big John from Edgware in Middlesex, 4.7 litre Ford V8 in his Mustang. And in the right-hand lane, the 7 litre engine of 900. The pro stocker, with John prepared to enter this elimination.
This is one of those incredible fully street legal bikes that can do 0 to 155 mile an hour in 9.5 seconds.
Put back in the garage and now completely rebuilt. And John Dixon lost fire, waits, thinks, and tires are up again.
Now it's back to Long Marston and the 86 Championship Finals, held in September. We'll concentrate on the super modified racing and the top fuel action.
Okay, Jerry, here we see Dave Warren and the mean as hell 427 Chevy powered pickup. Another super strong contender was Mick Cheeley in the Model A Roadster Mr. Shifter. Here we see him get into grips with the traction action. good run from Mick Cheeley, qualifying him well into the field. Hey, I recognise that car. It's that troublesome little Rover-powered Opel GT, the Hot Tomato 2.
Yeah, I recognise it as well. What's exactly going on there, boy?
Well, we're just looking at the valve train assembly here prior to making a qualifying run. As anybody who's got a Rover car would realise, that isn't standard Rover parts in there. That's all custom fabricated valve gear assembly and inlet manifold. And of course, to make the numbers, we've got it supercharged and on nitrous oxide as well.
It was sounding good there that weekend, wasn't it?
Yes, it certainly was running strong on that particular occasion, and I was pretty confident that we'd do a good run and get in the programme.
And our special modified street elimination, where we're running the Pro Stocko with a top street and the super street car in the left-hand lane. John Lester, Big John from Edgewood.
It's very important to do a very good burnout, because this not only warms the motor up, but also gets those rear tyres hot and sticky, ready to launch off the line. Just staging the car now, getting it into the timing beams, ready to launch on the green light. Not a bad run, 9.7 seconds at 146 miles an hour.
We move on to the... Okay, now it's on to the funny car match race qualifying session. And first up to the line is the Autoglass windshield sponsored 78 Vega of Leslie Pryor. But as you can see, there is not enough traction to hold this nitro burning monster. The strong contender for the NDRC Championship is Alan Bates in the Rockney Racer Corvette. But once again, the big Keith Black motor is producing too much horsepower for the track conditions. Next up to try his hand at qualifying is the Top Fuel dragster of Dennis Sheridan. Taking his place alongside the Clarion back car will be the ever popular Panic Funny car of the Page brothers. This is probably one of the oldest fuel floppers on the match race circuit today. As both drivers edge into the staging beams, the flick of a switch spells disaster for Sheridan, leaving Gary Page to record the Raceway's first ever funny car 6-second pass.
First round of super modified action, and it's yours truly racing Richard Eaton. And it was a close race, but I'm afraid the Hot Tomato just didn't get there first. Well, I don't know what we're all smiling about, because it's always tough to lose. But there's always the next meeting, and maybe we'll have better luck next time. Okay, second pair in the first round of Super Modified. And Mick Cheeley's out to get Carter. Nigel Carter, that is, driving this Mustang based in Manchester. Mick Cheeley really should have taken this one. He was ahead all the way until this, and something went really wrong there with the A model Roadster, and Nigel Carter goes through. Dave Warren still got plenty of horsepower, but still got traction problems as well. And really he was no match for Dave Mingay in the right hand lane. The Monza just powering through there at the top end and taking the win. Here's another local boy, Tom Laffey, in the superb Opel Manta, big block Chevy powered. time out this season for this car, and he's still getting to grips with it. But he was #1 qualifier, and he gets the bye run in round 1.
Okay, with all this frantic action on the strip, there's plenty of work to be done in the pit area, right Steve?
That's right, Jerry, and here we see one of the fuel motors being torn right down to the bare block. Use of air tools essential to get the motor all apart in the time that they have. And here's Alan Bates, the pilot of the Rockney Rebel funny car, carrying out one of the most vital tasks on the safety side, and that's packing the all-important braking chutes. As you can see, there are 2 chutes on this car, just in case it has some sort of deployment problem with the first one. And that's the owner and crew chief of the Rockney Rebel car, Nobby Hills. As you can see, the car is right down to the bare chassis and block, and parts strewn all over the pit area. There's one of the cylinder heads, but you can be sure it'll all be back together again, ready for the next round of the racing. And here's the Dave Pryor Racing team. They had 1 or 2 problems early on with traction, and they certainly got the motor apart as well on that one. And here's Duncan Harris wrenching on the motor of the Mischief Top Fuel car. Duncan, a former modified champion at NDRC Racing. And there's Leslie Pryor, the only woman licensed to drive a Top Fuel funny car in this country. Well, we can see there the Mischief car, the motor's virtually all back together, just 1 or 2 adjustments on the valve train assembly, then they can put the rocker covers on and that car will be ready to go. But here's certainly a car with a lot more work to be done on it. It's the funny car of the Pages team, another car right down to the bare block. They'll be looking to get another 6-second time out of that car, and they're certainly going into great depths on the motor, checking out all the components that they have. Well, we'll leave these guys now working in the pits, because it's about time for the second round of Super Modified. It's down at the starting line. Richard Eaton in the quick draw duster. He's racing Dave Mingay, who must be the hot favourite now for this eliminator. There's the Monza of Dave Mingay, the Hellraiser 2. Dave just getting the door open, trying to get some fresh air into that car. And a squirrely launch there for Richard Eaton, but look at Dave Mingay really powering along there in the right-hand lane and taking the win. Tom Laffey sounding strong on the burnout. He's racing Nigel Carter, who got through after Mick Cheeley blew the motor in the first round. And another good run there from Tom, and he's back in the pits just doing the regular maintenance, getting ready for the final with Dave Mingay.
Now it's back to the match race sessions for the fuelers and funny cars. Here we see Leslie Pryor suiting up, getting ready to go, making sure that the seat belts are firmly tight, because she's up against Mike Burt in their Iron Horse Mustang 2. And despite smoking the slicks there, she still got to the other end first. Now it's back to Alan Bates, following a first round disaster when the throttle linkage broke and was sidelined. He's up against Gary Page in the Panic funny car. Putting down a traction compound. But the motor still sounds a little sick. They're just about to come into the staging beams. It looks like he's staged on the headers. That's a no-no. And the expense of a couple of pistons at the top end, the Pages takes it. Dave Wilson in the Clifton Pro-Comp dragster. He's up against the Clarion car of Dennis Sheridan. Another team who has had some bad luck recently, following an engine blow-up at the World Finals, but they've got it all back together again. Dave has been round the drag strips for some time. Used to drive junior dragsters, no doubt. Just edging into the staging beams now. It looks like Dave's going to take this one as Sheridan goes up in smoke.
Final run of the day, super modified final, and here's Tom Laffey, local boy in the Opel Manta, against Dave Mingay. Super strong burnouts from both cars. This is the money run, remember, and nobody likes to come second. Green light, and Tom Laffey got left a little bit there, and it's Dave Mingay all the way, taking this round of the Super Modified Championship.
This is Jerry Cookson saying so long for now.
And this is Steve Clifton saying I hope you've enjoyed this brief look at the world of drag racing.